Because I said there are standard medical things that people say, and then if you call back to them, you push back on them, they say, oh, okay, yeah, it's fine. You know what I mean? That's fine, but you got to do that from the doctor. I'm sorry for bringing it up. Just that's why I came on a few minutes late. I'm a sugar. Just please, you could tell me if I'm the nutty one here.
No, I think you're in the right on this one. I know I've had patients that came to me and they were told not to submerge their hands in water after surgery for 72 hours. And they did. And when they came to me 5 days later, they had bacterial infections. That's why they were told not to submerge in water.
Right. So that's the type of thing. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and they need it. You're 100% right. The doctors, a lot of times, they need to cover themselves. So they'll say, don't do it, don't do it. So if you push and they still say not to do it, then yeah, don't do it. But a lot of times you push, they'll be like, yeah,
but that's fine.
If you really need to do it, it's fine. Then it's good. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I'm saying the doctor's the doctor. He's entitled to say that. He knows the situation. I'm just a punk rabbi. I mean, I'm not sure about the rabbi part. The punk part, I certainly am. Right. Anyways, okay. No, I apologize. I'm just letting off some steam over here. Okay. Hey, I'm at Aleph, right?
You can't be made on yourself, but as far as I'm concerned, you're all right.
Thank you. I appreciate the physics.
It's not the rabbi, the chacham.
There you go. Yeah. Anyways, okay. Yeah, chacham and number 20 today. No, it's 20 or 21 once you add it.
21.
20, mamish, 3 weeks, chazaka. Mamish, that's a chazaka of 3 weeks.
What's 3 weeks?
This is what public...
We keep a count of Michael showing up for the daf.
Yeah, public humiliation is a great motivator. Public accountability.
By force, Shul?
I don't know how you got 21. I see only 12.
Not normal for
dyslexia.
That's not usual for over here. Then.
He's been doing it for 21 days.
Not
12 people on.
What? I should know this. No. I don't know the names of the shuls. What's a shul machzike in this neighborhood? What's the name of it?
That's right.
Jarvis. There's a Jarvis. A shul called machzike. That's not right.
Yeah, KMT, Kla Machzike Torah. That's Jarvis.
Oh, Machzike Torah.
And
right. Go to the corner, make a left, and then you'll see Jarvis, like the 3rd street. On the corner, you'll see like a trailer type of...
It's blue. If he needs the code, it's 3142.
Yeah. Make a left, and then like on the 3rd block. Right? Yeah. Jarvis.
There's trailers on the corner. There's trailers on the corner.
Okay, I guess I didn't know the name of the shul. Okay. Zog the Mishnah, Pei Amar Aleph. Halakeach Peiros Shoivach Mechaveros. Somebody who buys Peiros of a Shoivach from his chaver. This is a quite interesting Gemara. Made this some mussar to learn. But meaning you're here till now we're talking about buying the shoivach, and do you get the birds that are inside the shoivach, not in the shoivach? Fine, but here we're talking about where you're just buying the peiros of the shoivach. It's an interesting lashon why it's called peiros of the shoivach. Right? It means the birds. You bought the birds of the shoivach. Mechavere mafriach bricha rishona. So mafriach is another one of those play on words. Mafriach literally means to fly, right? So, I mean, it means fly here also, but it means you have to let the bricha rishayna,
right?
the first, what?
The verb, mafriach.
Yes, here it's a verb.
Right,
but
so you let them fly away, you fly them away.
Right, but it's not, but really the point here is that they're not flying away, right? Meaning he's allowed to keep all the birds in the shoivach except for the mother and the mother's first, like, let's call it for clarity's sake, the 2 oldest. The 2 oldest he doesn't get. Right? Meaning because basically the issue is here, and with the rest of the cases in the Mishnah, is that since he's not buying the whole shoivach, all he's buying is the peiros, the way the Mishnah calls it peiros, but he's buying the birds. So he could theoretically wipe out this guy's whole business by taking all the birds. How's this guy's business? He's not going to be able to run his business anymore.
He sold it to him.
No, but he only sold him birds. He only sold him the birds, right? The
So we're
peiros,
worried that he sold him too many birds?
yes, meaning if he takes everything, then this guy's going to be left holding the bag, literally.
Maybe he sold it for $10 million.
No, but he didn't buy the shoivach, and he only brought future. He bought
the chicks, not the birds themselves.
No, he bought. What do you mean?
He didn't buy the parents. He bought the chicks.
Correct.
That come out of those two.
Correct. He's not buying them. He's not buying the mother. What's the problem?
So, in other words, he should get what he bought. That's a very tremendous Mishnah. I could even written that Mishnah. I could have been a Tana.
You could have gone.
Don't take more than you bought.
No, that's not. But that's not what it's saying.
No.
Because you did buy.
What does it say? Excuse me, sir. I don't know any Digduk at all, and I don't know any language. But if you want to talk about it, it says Elokeach Peiros Shoivach. He bought the young ones of the Shoivach. He didn't buy the mother. No.
Yeah,
Right,
but the next one is the
first. But the first
two, he doesn't get.
the first two babies, let's call it that. The first two eggs, whichever, that he cannot keep. He could say, "What do you mean? I bought everything. I bought everything except for the mother." No, you're not allowed to have the first two. First two, you're not allowed to have. That's what it's saying.
Kind of strange. Is he saying if first two eggs or first two chicks?
Same thing.
Well,
Same
eggs
thing.
don't mean anything if they're not fertile, you know.
What the first two live things that come out of there, whatever you want to call them,
Well,
right?
They're not coming out as chicks; they're coming out as eggs.
I understand that. That's excellent. Okay, what I'm saying, but I'm saying the first two that are alive, we're gonna see in the Gemara. That it's because the mother needs company. If she doesn't have company, she's gonna fly away, and you're gonna take away this guy's entire business.
What happened to the Yav? Left her as an almana?
What?
He left already a half a year ago to buy a pack of cigarettes.
Yes, the father's doing the man thing. He's not around, right? So anyway, but she needs also ladies need lady company, right? So I mean, I'm not saying always, but in this case,
How can you tell from the eggs? You're going to tell whether it's
that's
be
saying.
a pullet or it's going to be a rooster.
Rahman, the first two eggs, if they don't become alive, so then you'll take the next two eggs, I think. But the point is that if you take everything, the mother's gonna fly away, and you took away the guy's business. It's the equivalent of you buying all the fruit from a guy's tree, but you chop down the tree, right? Nobody would say that you're allowed to do that. Rabban, that's 100%. You didn't buy the tree, you bought the peiros of the tree. But the chiddush of the Mishnah is that the first two have to stay. That you can't take. The Mishnah uses it as a lashon that they fly with the mother, which I don't know why picking that lashon. Point is that this guy, the buyer, is going to take the birds, and the mother's going to stay with this other two. But okay, whichever it means. So maybe the mother's going to fly to a different dovecote.
So I don't want to belabor the issue. So now the Mishnah is the horticultural society of pigeons became. Okay, fine.
No, not horticulture.
Well, I thank you. I know it's not the right word. I know
that. Yeah.
It's the Audubon Society of Mishnayos. Okay.
No, but that's the point is you can't. There's gonna be a lot of this science here, and this stuff has a lot of science.
Okay.
This is a very good proof for yeshiva bachim to tell their teachers that we don't have to learn English. We got enough in the Gemara. The problem is, I don't think they ever got to daf pei, but they're not going to tell that to the English teachers, right? But anyway, so basically, the Gemara is saying that mother needs company, so you got to leave the first two birds that are alive. The same thing, peiros kaveris. It's not the same thing, but a similar case. If he bought the peiros of, now Paris again doesn't mean fruit. It's also a verb. I don't know if it's a verb. It's not a verb. It's a, what is it? Ben, it's a adjective maybe, right? So Paris kaveras, the Paris of a beehive, meaning the honey, Noitel Gimon Nechilim, he takes the first 3 swarms of bees, Umesaris, and then he cuts it off. We'll see in the Gemara exactly what this is. That's the second case. Chalas Devash, but let's say he buys the honeycombs, meaning the second case where he's buying the honey. The third case is he's buying the honeycombs. Maniach Beis Chalas, he has to leave 2 combs there. Right? Why? Because otherwise the guy's losing again his whole business. Zaysum lakuts, let's say he bought olive wood. He bought olive trees to cut down an olive tree. But he needs the wood, the olive wood. Maniach, he has to open a factory in Meir Sharim. Right? So Zaysum lakuts, maniach shtei grufius. Then you have to leave 2 branches so that the tree will continue to grow. Right? So right, meaning again, because these are all the similar cases. You're buying the payers from the guy. You're not buying the guy's entire business. Right? So okay. So now let's see. Vatanya bricha rishayna vishniya. It says in the brisa that you have to leave the first and second doves, not just the first pair. You got to leave 4. Let's call it 4 birds. The first 4 birds. So the Mishnah says you leave 2. The second you leave, and the brisa says you leave 4. One is talking about just for her, and one is for the mother, meaning they both need company. Meaning the mother bird needs company, so therefore you leave her the kid, or what? Two birds, and then that baby bird is going to need company. So Mamela, the baby bird, also needs 2 birds. So therefore, meaning since each one needs company, so therefore you have to leave the 2 birds. Now the obvious kasha is, well, why doesn't the baby have the mother as company, right? Well, I mean, you said the mother needs company. Oh, good. So you got to leave her first 2 birds, got to stay with her. Fine. So then we say, oh, but the baby needs company. So we got to leave the next 2 birds. First of all, so why don't you go forever and ever? We'll get to that in a minute. But the Gemara's kasha first is asking 1 second. If the baby keeps the mother company, so why isn't the mother keeping the baby company? Then why do you need to give another 2 birds? That's Gemara's kasha. Mashna ima de matstavisa abasra azuga de shavkinala. Mitzvisa means from the word tzavsa. It means companionship. Right. So why is it different that the mother that the mother has the companionship of the daughter, and that's why vazuga de shavkinala, that's the pair that we leave for her. Ihinami tzavisa ima vazuga de shavkinala. So let her have a companion from the mother, and we leave her that same pair. All right, what do you need a second pair? So the Gemara says the Yisayid. Ima aparta mitztavsa. A mother is attached to the daughter. Barta ima loy mitztavsa. But a daughter is not necessarily going to go after the mother. Meaning, a mother is a mother will never abandon the child. Right? As long as the daughter has a mate, so then this companionship. But a daughter will abandon its mother, right? So that's why the daughter, you need to leave for the daughter, you need to leave another daughter, meaning it's dominoes. The mother, meaning the mother that created this whole dovecote, needs to have her firstborn to give her companionship. And because we're afraid that firstborn may abandon the mother, so therefore we have to give her a child so that she's attached to her child and stays, right? Now, why doesn't this Chadgaji continue all the way around? Right? Because if that's the case, you gotta keep going. So the Rashbam says 3 generations enough.
Well, maybe a daughter won't leave the grandmother.
I mean, the daughter's closer to the grandmother than I don't know. Maybe I don't know. The Rashbam says 3 generations is enough. Which taka we had couple weeks ago on the daf, like what is it called? What was the Gemara? Chuta Mashulish Lepim Hera Yinatik. Right. So you have 3 generations, it doesn't break. So that's one way. Taisus says no. Taisus says the top Taisus says you need to, the first of each couple, you taka have to, meaning each how do you call it? Each subsequent couple, the first pair always you never take. Right? Meaning every generation of new birds, you have to leave the oldest. That's a it's quite an interesting machloikis Rashbam and Tosfos. Right? Again, Rashbam holds you leave 3 generations, that's enough. Tosfos says no. Let's say, I don't know how many, from a stomach, a bird lays lots and lots of eggs in its lifetime. The Tosfos holds, the top Tosfos holds that the first 2 birds, you always have to leave for the 2 oldest, you always have to leave for companionship for the mother. Okay. That's science for you right there. Now we continue with the science. So what you do is you take 3 nechilin and then you cut it off. So what maybe we should explain this in the Mishnah. Basically, the way I understand it, but I couldn't do this without R Scroll's understanding, and I did not Google it to fact check to see if it's taka the way it is, right? But basically, it lays a bunch. This is the way I understand it. If anybody knows differently, then please speak up. So you have a bee, the queen bee, right? It lays eggs, and then once there's too many bees or too many, I'm not sure if it means too many bees or too many eggs, whatever it is, then she leaves and she goes with a bunch of bees and she starts another one someplace else. That's what you see sometimes, this whole group of bees, and they go and they make a sort of like a shul, right? They make they'll make another shul, right? So then so that's considered as part of the original paris, let's call it that, paris of the tree, of the bees, right? Or the beehive, right? So what we're saying is and then the more bees that go, the weaker the honey gets. So the guy that buys the production, he gets the first 3 of these, they call it swarms. He gets the first 3 of these swarms. The rest of them he does not, he's not entitled to. And then it says you cut it off. Then he cuts it off. So okay, so but Sarson, how are you being Masaras bees? I mean, what the Gemara seems to be saying is that you Masaras the bees so that they'll produce, they'll stop eating the honey. Right? So what do you Masaras? What you do is you give them mustard. Right? And then Memela what? So Amir Marav Mishmed Rav Yosi Barav Chanina. Not the mustard, meaning mustard does not cause them to become sterile. Because that their mouth becomes chad, sharp, right, from the mustard. And what do they have to do? Chayzis fa'aychlu says dufshanan. Then they go and they eat their own honey. And once they eat their own honey, then that stops them from going after other bees, right? And instead of them going and be busy with going to mating, they just busy making more honey. So he's entitled to do that, so he gets more honey. Right? There's a whole shtick of this whole science of exactly how to get him to produce more honey. He takes 3. What it means, it doesn't mean he cuts off the bees so that they no longer mate or they no longer are productive. What it means is that sirus can mean that he takes it like cut up. Meaning he takes every other one. So he takes the first, leaves the second, meaning of these swarms. And then he takes the third and leaves the fourth, and then he takes the 5th. And after that, it all goes to the cellar. And the Masnisatan and the Brisa says differently. He takes the first 3 swarms, and after that he takes one and leaves one. It's a big difference between these 2 pshatim. The first pshat, he gets the 3 swarms, whether it's the first 3 or 1, 3, and 5, but those 3 swarms is what he gets. According to the last pshat, no, he gets the first 3, and then he gets every other one. Right? So he's getting a lot more honey. Okay. Fine. Chalas dvash mniach shtei chalas.
Nobody's asking how we paskin. Nobody's interested in the peas. They're only interested in the honey. So you don't hear anybody asking, how do we paskin?
Actually, it's interesting. It's Rachama. I wasn't going to bring it up, but the Rashbam, look in the Rashbam and B'masnisa Tana. Where is it? B'masnisa Tana. Right there, it's about 10 lines up from the bottom. He actually talks about how we paskin. So you're mechaven. Right. But Masnisa Tana, he says, V'hachi hilchasa, the Bryce Iker. He's saying the Bryce is the Iker. Right? And he says, right? And meaning, because the Bryce doesn't sound, it sounds totally different than the Mishnah, but the Rashbam is saying, no, we go with the Bryce. Yeah, fine. Chalas dvash meniach shtei chalas. So we said, by when you're buying the honeycombs, then you leave shtei chalas. So now we get into tumen tari here. We know that this din is that you have foods become tummy, right? But that's only if it's really food. If it's not really food, like animal food or something like that, then it's not food unless the person decides that he's going to make it food. So now, what's with honey? Is honey considered food for humans, or is honey considered food for bees? Right? So Rav Kahana says, the honey that's in a honeycomb, it does not lose its status, does not go out of its status of food forever. So you see that you don't need machshava, meaning it's considered a food, and you don't need to, have a thought about it that it's dafka food. Okay, so but then the problem is it's against the brisa. Meisvei dvash b'kaveres. It's exactly Rav Kahana's case that he's talking about. Eina loy oichel v'loy mashka. It's not considered oichel and it's not considered mashka. So this brisa is saying that fakert, it's not. Samar Abayas said lotzricha elo la'oisan shtei chalas. Right? You only need it for those 2 chalas, meaning the original 2 chalas. Now we said in the Mishnah that when you buy something, when you buy the honey, and when you buy the honeycomb, you have to leave the first 2 chalas, right? So those 2 chalas, those don't become tummy because they're never going to be used for humans because you have to leave it, right? When what Rav Kahana was saying that the honey's food, he's talking about after the first 2. So that's a pretty pasha to answer the steerer from the Bryce. Rava Amar Rabbi Eliezer, Rava says that it's Rabbi Eliezer. Antam Beis the Tanan, because we learned in the Mishnah, Kaveras Devarim, a beehive. Rabbi Eliezer Aimer, we had this. I don't know what we have this. Samachay, so not that long, 15 blot ago. Kaveras Devarim. We learned in the Mishnah, so a beehive with honey in it. Right? Rabbi Eliezer Aimer Arehi Kekarka. We look at it like karka. The Koisanala Pruzbul. We know that Pruzbul, that's at the end of Shemitah. You have to, all loans go back unless you have a pruzbul. So in order to have a pruzbul, you need to own land. So if you own a beehive, that's considered land. And it's not makabel tumah. Why not? Because it's considered attached. It's not attached. It's not, when it's in its place, it's considered attached to the ground. Anything attached to the ground, as we know, is not makabel tumah. And somebody who takes honey from it on Shabbos is chayav chatas, the same way that you pick fruit. It's chayav chatas. Chacham disagree. He said it's not considered land, so you can't write a pruzbul. It's not karka. And it is makabel tumah in its place. Potter. And anybody who takes honey from it is potter because it's not considered attached to the ground. Okay, so we have machlokes tanoim whether it's attached to the ground or not. Amar Rabbi Elazar. So Rabbi Elazar says to explain Rabbi Eliezer, my time with Rabbi Eliezer. Why does Rabbi Eliezer hold that it's considered attached to the ground? To sieve, Vayitval Isa beyaras hadvash, and he dipped it into the yaras hadvash, into a forest made from honey. Right. So v'chimayin in yar etzel dvash. Why is it calling a forest with honey? Elo loymar loch ma yar hatolish min b'shabbos chayav chatas. A forest, meaning anything that's attached to the ground, and on Shabbos is chayav chatas. Avdvash, even honey, aroidim mena b'Shabbos chayav chatas. So honey also, anybody who takes something from it on Shabbos is chayav chatas. So what do you see from this? That Rabbi Eliezer holds that honey is mechuber lekarka. So the brisa that says that honey is not considered food and therefore is not makabel tumah is going according to Rabbi Eliezer, and Rav Kahana is going according to the Chachamim. Right, fairly straightforward. Now I'm going to ask a couple of kashas on Rava. So Meisvei, it says Dvash Hazov Bikavarte. What about honey that left the beehive? Rabbi Eliezer was talking about honey that was in the beehive. Now let's say it left the beehive. The Bryce is saying it's not considered oichel, it's not considered mashke, even though it's no longer in the beehive. So Abaya, we could be mataritz it very easily. Right? The Brysa that says that it's not honey is talking about honey from the two combs, that's not considered a food. And Rav Kahana is talking about the honey from the Rav Kahana says that it is considered oichel, is the other honey, right? So that would be a way to answer it. El Rava Kasha, but according to Rava, you have a kasha, right? You can't say that honey that's no longer in the beehive is considered karka. It left the beehive. So how can you say that it's considered karka? It's talking about where the honey went onto a disgusting utensil. So therefore, nobody's going to eat it. So therefore, it's not considered food. It's in kashkashin, or kaskasin really usually means scales, right? But it also went on to Rashbam says kismin dakin, little pieces of wood that end up meaning it fell on these little pieces of wood, and there's no way to separate them from the honey. So therefore, it's considered not edible. Both saying the same type of teretz. It's talking about where it's not edible. Fine. So Meisei. So we have another kasha from Raisa. Tvash bekavarta. If you have honey that's in the last price was honey out of.
I don't understand. You know how we get honey. How we get honey from and we separate it from. It doesn't just come out. You take everything together. You got honey mixed up with all kinds of stuff. So and the way we get rid of those other things is with the centrifuge going around. So the same way you do that, you could also take out the sticks. You could also take out, even if it fell into a clean mullahs. It's still able to be cleansed, so to speak. Maybe you don't want to touch it. That's something else. But the fact is that you don't want to eat the honey that's got bees all hanging inside it either. So have to do another process first. Not honey doesn't just that's so I don't know why that what's the difference? It had a bunch of sticks in it. Same way you
for whatever reason it's not edible, I guess.
Because in that form.
What?
In that form, but that's the way honey is anyway. Normally, where you take a I forgot what it's called. Whatever it is, this piece that you take this thing out from the hive, and you cut it up, and now you've got a bunch of honeycombs and honey, and by and of itself, it's filled with all kinds of stuff. A few dead bees, maybe also, but you have to go through a process. You have to go through a process to clean it out.
Well, maybe I don't know. Maybe today, maybe the din would change because technology will make it separated. Ich weiß nicht. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, so basically, the next kasha is vash bekavarta and when it's in the beehive, then it's not oichel and it's not mashka. And if the person thought about it, right, to make it into food, it's metamatum the mashkin. And if he thought about it for liquids, metamatum mashkin, it's metamatum mashkin. The difference is in the shear of how much you need to make a tummy. That's the difference between shear, tumas oichel, and tumas mashkin. Okay, whatever it is, you see that it's not considered food when it's in the beehive, right? So bishlam ala Abaye and nicha. So again, we could say to Abaye, it makes sense because it's talking about the two combs that you have to leave for the bees. So therefore, it's not considered food unless the person says, I'm using them for food. El Rava kasha, but according to Rava, it's a kasha, right? Because and this is the opposite, coming from the opposite angle, meaning even if it's in the beehive or in the honeycomb, whatever you want to call it. So according to Rabbi Eliezer, that's considered part of the ground. You can think that it's food from today till tomorrow. If it's mechuber lakarka, it is not makabel tuma, right? Meaning the kasha is that you're saying, oh, according to Rabbi Eliezer, if it's mechuber lakarka, so it's not makabel tuma. That's fine, but then you can't. Even if you say, oh, I'm going to eat the honey, it's you're making it into food and should be makabel tuma. It's still mechuber lakarka. So and that you haven't gotten around. So this way you have to answer it. If he thought about fachila, eina metama tumas eichlin. Lamashkin eina metama tumas mashkin. Right? Oh, so that's very interesting. This is grada very interesting. I know I keep saying that, but what just happened here? I don't know if the Olam is paying attention. Rabban, this is for us. This one. He said the Brisa says that it is matam. Now we're saying no. Put in the word eina matam. Right? Maybe for parrots. This is also for parrots. Right? It's a Brisa that puts in eina matama. What did you just do?
Ape.
What?
Ape. Just switch it.
Right, exactly. So now they just did it. So that. Look at the top Taisus. The Taisus beat us to this. To our great brains, Taisus beat us to this kasha. Right. So Taisus writes eina magia. What?
The guy had a principal for $6 million, and he wrote it on the beehive.
Maybe. Okay, so Taisus has a different type. Taisus, but the top Taisus is just you side the stick because I don't know when we implement this and when we don't implement this. Taisus ain't a magia habraisa. He's not changing the brisa. Right? It's not considered Michael Mashka for this Indian. Meaning it's not considered Eichel, even if the guy thinks that it's going to make it into Eichel, it doesn't work. Right? Meaning you have a piece of wood that's stuck into the ground. It's not Makabal Tuma finished. You could decide to say that you're going to use that wood and chew it as chewing tobacco. Who cares? So that's the way Rava would answer the Bryce. He's saying that if he thinks about it for Achila, it's not Achila. Meaning, so he's not doing what we thought he was doing and just adding a word Eina in order for it to fit into his pshat. Yeah. Okay. So Tanya comes to the Rav Kahana, Dvash b'kavartoi, a Dvash in the kaveras matama tumas eichlin shaloi b'machshava. So we have a brisa like Rav Kahana. It says beferish, a different brisa. Dvash that's in the honeycomb is matama tumas eichlin shaloi b'machshava, meaning it's considered food shaloi b'machshava. So then.
So what time is Mincha?
No, that means this is at least 15 minutes before.
By me, it's 7:00.
Yeah, but this is 15 minutes before you can't count on the Sulit. You can't count on the Sulit's bell because it rings every week at different time. This week they're ringing it 15 minutes before sometimes they ring it 10 minutes before the Zman. Whatever. Anyways, I'm not complaining about it, but it's a little loud. But anyways, so it's interesting. This is a Gershon kasha. So if Rav Kahana had a brisa to back him up, so why are you asking on him from a different brisa? The whole Amid is that we're asking a kasha of Kahana because he's a steerer to a brisa. Rav Kahana's an Amayra, a brisa, right? We had a kasha in him from a brisa. What do you mean? But now the Gemara, at the end of the whole Gemara, the Gemara brings a brisa that's pro Rav Kahana. Rav Kahana fits. So then what was the whole kasha? I know it's Friday, so we got to go on. But
Gemara meant to ask on Rav Kahana or to ask on Rav?
No, the initial kasha on Omen Aleph on the bottom of Omen Aleph was asking Rav Kahana. Okay, whatever. It's getting late, but fine. Zeisum lakuts maniach shtei grufia. So if you have olives to cut, if you bought an olive tree for the wood, you cut it down, you have to leave at least 2 branches so that it can grow. So now the Gemara goes through all different types of trees. So Taraman halakech ilan mechaver lakuts. Somebody buys a tree from his friend to cut it down. Makbiyah min akarka tefach v'kaitzit. You have to leave at least a tefach high from the ground to cut it down. The sula sashikma, if it's but back to our sycamore tree. The Sula Sashikma, the one that was never cut, Gimel Tvachim. You have to leave 3 Tvachim of wood for it to grow. Sadan Ashikma, that's a sycamore tree that was cut. Base Tvachim, you need 2 Tvachim. Bekanim, Ubekfanim, let's say it was reeds and a grapevine, and a Pekaku Lamala. So from a Pekak is like The art school teaches a knot, meaning it's like like where it sticks out a little bit. But right, you need to leave it from that pekak and above. But the column of arazim, palm trees and cedar trees, chayfer umasharish, that you could even dig out and uproot it totally. Because they don't grow back. All right, so again, going into earth science, I think, or biology, or both. So that's the Gemara is giving us the dinam of what you have to leave there. So now, Basulas Hashikma Gibel Tvachim Binan. Basulas Hashikma needs 3 Tvachim, or a minute, I'll ask you a steer on this. We just learned this in Mishnah Shvius. I'm still not sure whether I remember or not, but we mamash just learned it. Ain't it's in Basulas Hashikma B'Shvius. And Shemitah, you're not allowed to cut down a Basulas Hashikma with a sycamore tree that was never cut, because that's considered avodah. That's called using the ground. Right? And if you're not allowed to cut it because that's going to make it grow better. Yeah. Rabbi Yehuda Aimer Kedarka also to cut it regularly. It's also what you could do is you can cut it 10 tfachim from the ground, and then that's fine because that will be bad for it. Or you can cut it down straight where it's even with the ground. Either one of those two are going to cause it to have damage. And what's the kasha? It's pretty pashut. The kasha, it's mashma that it's only bad from when you cut it at the ground level. Ha idach ma'ilila. But if you cut it in other ways, then it's going to help it. So why are we saying here that you have to leave 3 tfachim, right? You can leave all different amounts as long as you don't cut it flat to the ground. Sound the Gemara goes through a whole bunch of different options here. If you leave 3 tfachim, that's good for the tree. If you leave it equal to the ground, then it's bad for it. From here and on, it's neutral. It's not bad for it, and it's not good for it. Right? So, we have all these different. We have ground level, no good, up until 3 tfachim. What's the up until 3 tfachim? I'm not sure that.
This is a Matthias question.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Doesn't ArtScroll have a chart on this? I saw its chart on ArtScroll. This no.
Yeah, it has a chart.
Yeah.
So it says 0 is if it's 0 level, then it's
harmful.
No good. Till 3,
questionable.
Wasupik, right? Then 3 to 10. What's
3
that?
is 3 is beneficial.
3 is good. That's right. That's
3 to 10 is 3 to 10 is questionable.
And then 10 is good.
10 plus is harmful.
Oh, 10. I'm sorry. 10 plus is harmful. Oh, 10 plus is harmful. That's why you're allowed to do it during Shemitah. Right. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. We're having a test on this Sunday. Like all the kids have tests on Sunday. We'll have a test on this chart on Sunday.
Is it open book?
Well, the kids don't get open books, so why should we? I'm afraid how we're going to do on that test. But anyways.
Is Akiva not on?
No, Friday's not on.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so what's it going to say? That's a good question. And so Gabi Shvius Avdina Midi Devade Kashila. By Shvius, you can do something that we know for sure is going to damage the tree. That's okay. Gabi Mekach Omemkar Avdina Midi Devade Mailila. By business, you're only going to do something that definitely helps it. So that's why you want to leave 3 tfachim. So I'm going to ask, but the Kolm of Razim, this is mamish right here for Erev Shabbos, Givaldik, this Gemara. But the Kolm of Razim Chayfer Umesharish Fisha Ein Gizon Machlif. We said by a dekel and an erez. What do you call it? Palm tree and a cedar tree, you can dig it totally out because they never regenerate. Right? Whereas ein gizon machlif, it does a cedar not regenerate. I hope everybody knows where we say that. If not, stay tuned and if we're not falling asleep in a half hour or so.
Song of the day.
Song of the day. Is it a song? Yeah, it's true. It is a song, 100%. Right? So it says, "Tzadik katomar yifrach." A tzaddik will grow like a tomar, ke'erez balvanon yisken, like an erez in Levanon. Is gonna also grow. Im nemar tomar lemar nemar erez. Im nemar erez lemar nemar tomar. What is a rabbi? Right? A tzaddik, not a rabbi necessarily. A tzaddik. Is it erez or is it tomar? Ilu nemar erez v'loy nemar tomar. If he would have said he's a cedar and he's not his day tree, you say erez ain't oisa peres, and erez doesn't make peres. Af tzaddik ain't no Paris, a tzaddik's also not going to make Paris. Now, this gets back to what we discussed 2 days ago, that the Rashbam here says 6 lines up, the Olam can look at it on their own, that maybe the tzaddik is going to eat all, meaning he's going to get all his schar in this world, and he's not going to get anything in the Olam Haba. That's the first shot. Second shot is fakert. In this world, he doesn't get any success, right? But it's going to be in the next. Well, he doesn't say the next part, but that's what it means. Either way, so maybe the tzaddik is not going to make peres. It's tamar that he's going to get schar. And let's say it's tamar and doesn't say erez, but you see, tamar ain't gizay machlif. A tamar doesn't grow back. Af tzaddik ain't gizay machlif. So you would think that a tzaddik is not going to grow back, meaning he's not going to have kids that are going to follow in his ways. So that's how it says erez. Either way, what you see from this drasha is that an erez does grow back. So what is the Gemara saying? That an erez, if you buy an erez tree, you can just uproot the whole thing. So we say b'shar mine arazim. There are other types of arazim. Right? Kida Rabba bar Ravuna, Dam Rabba Ravuna, Amri Pei Rav, Yud Mine Arazim Hein. There are 10 types of Arazim. Shenemar, because it says Atain b'midbar Erez Shita v'Hadas v'Eitz Shemen Osim. Erez is Arza. Shita is Turnisa. Hadas is Asa. Eitz Shemen is Afarsima. Rosh is Barti. Tidhar is Shaga. V'Tashur is Shavina. Okay, so those are but those are only 7. So we're asked Hani Zayin Havi, that's 7. So Ki Asa Rav Dimi Amar, when Rav Dimi said, he said Hasif Olam Alunim, Almunim, and Almugim. Alunim, what is Amunim? Butni. Almugim is Bluti. Almugim on Tamar Aleph is Ksisa. Aim Ikadamri, Arugim Armoinim, Almugim Arogim, Ore as Armunim, and I'm sorry, Armune. Arugim is Armunim Almugim. No, I'm sorry. Arugim Armunim Almugim. Right? Arugim is Ari. Armunim is Dulvi. Almugim is Ksisa. Okay. That's we'll stop over there.
There's a lot of Chinese over there.
A lot of Chinese.
It sounds like it came out of a restaurant. You know?
Say it 5 times fast.
Yeah.
You can't even say it once.
All right.
On that.
Yeah. All right, let's say a Tillim because I gotta go. I got some phone calls to make. Okay, Yud Gimel. Lam Natzeh, Mizmor David, Adonai Adonai Tishkacheni Netzach.